What is going on, YouTube? Glad to be here, and I'm bringing you our draft analysis for the UPC. I know, right? I'm in so many leagues right now, but this one's really it's a bunch of friends. We're gonna have a good time with it. It is gonna be an upload league, so keep up on that. It's also gonna be Showdown, which is gonna make things a lot easier. There's a lot less hassle working with Showdown, so very very minimal amounts of stress to go with it. So as you can see, we have our team right here, and just gonna jump into it. So we had 12th pick overall. That's the latest pick I've ever had in a draft, and I was so afraid. I planned nothing because I had heavily anticipated to get sniped. But my first two picks originally were going to be Victini and Megalop. However, I really wanted this draft to be a bunch of things I've never drafted before. I wanted this to be sort of my experimental squad, just to grab mons I've never used, get comfortable with so I can keep them for the future. And I decided, you know what? Let's have fun. Let's make this the most fun draft I've ever drafted. I just want to hit stuff really hard, and I want the most ridiculous amount of Volt Turn physically possible. So I drew up a list, dropped Megalop Honey, and oddly enough, did not get sniped one time. I swear there was not a single snipe in this draft for the 12th pick. But let's start this off. I did drop Megalop Honey. I am really surprised that Tyler didn't grab Victini. Usually, Tyler picks up Victini first. And I was just so prepared to get destroyed. But anyway, I don't know how these two mons didn't get picked up. I guess because Gen 7 goggles. But our first and second picks were Victini and Weavile. Now, if you're paying attention to the NPL, you'll know that we get 3 mons to hold Z-Stones and no status moves. This is kind of the same. We get 3 mons to hold Z-Stones, but the majority of status moves are still legal. We just can't use the stupid stuff like Celebration, other stuff. There's others, I promise. I can't recall it off the top of my head. But we picked up Victini and Weavile just because those 2 mons are so ridiculous offensively. And Victini is the first to hold a Z-Stone. Not Weavile, mind you. Victini is. Victini is also the first of our mons to complete our Volt Turn nonsense. But both of these mons are, well, Victini is base 100 everywhere anyway, so it's gonna be good everywhere. It can rock a scarf, a band, some specs, a life form, some expert glasses. Is that the word? Expert belt. There we go. It can rock an expert belt. It can even use an assault vest. Victini can be made to be bulky. Its typing is a little weird with it, but it can happen. So I feel like that was a good mon to really start off with. We're not really building around a specific mon so much as a specific strategy. Weavile, on the other hand, is offensive. It's got 85 base SPDF, but it's offensive. Plus, having a strong offensive ice type is just so important, just because it wrecks the draft format. Like, look at Mamoswine, look at Weavile, look at Kieran Black, offensive ice types. It's such an important one to have. But for our third and fourth picks, we grabbed Zydog. I swear I meant to say Zygarde. I'm so used to calling it Zydog. We grabbed Zydog and Fortress. Now, Zydog also cannot Volt Turn, which, let's be honest, it shouldn't. There really isn't a switch-in for Zydog, considering 1,000 Arrows isn't affected by Flying Immunity, isn't affected by Levitate and all that crap. It's also, I feel like it's very underrated. Grabbing third round, I feel like was the best possible opportunity for me. Especially, oh my, it's so fast. It's got 100 base, attack. It still has access to Dragon Dance. Zydog is where it's at. Zydog is what I want to be doing. But unfortunately, it's really just that. I mean, it's a frail Zygarde. You have Thousand Arrows, you have a potential Outrage, you have Extreme Speed, Dragon Dance, but that's really kind of it for generic sets. It's gonna hit hard. That's what I wanted to do. Oh, nicknames, by the way. I always nickname my mons, and I feel terrible because I knew for a fact making this layout I would not be including them in there before I'd forget. Victini is, of course, named after Tyler, the Phantom Pony. Weavile is the Red Hood, because best anti-hero ever outside of maybe Venom. And obviously, Zydog is Zydoge. Fortress, we are bringing Bruce Willis back into the mix. The unbreakable Bruce Willis is going to not only add to our Volt Turn nonsense mechanics, but it's also going to give us a super bulky Mon. A super bulky Mon who's going to let us stack hazards, who's going to give us the ability to Rapid Spin, who's going to come with that slow Volt Switch. And if nothing else, anyone who knows me knows that I love running a surprise offensive Fortress. And I just can't wait to see what kind of fun crap I can bring this season. But moving on, because Fortress does Fortress stuff, we picked up Greninja and Gliscor. Now, I was really worried about Greninja. I was super concerned, but it actually turns out that I sniped someone else out of it. I actually, I think I sniped CJ. And I felt really bad because he specifically said, I want Greninja next. And my first thought was, oh, you should look for something else. Because Mr. McCroak is coming back to the squad for the first time since the WPF. No, this is not Battle Bond. This is not Protean. This is Torrent Greninja. And I'll tell you what, I don't even care. It's got 122 base speed. And both of its offensive stats are pretty good. Pretty good. It also U-turns, so there's that. As well as also allows the ability to hazard stack. And without Protean, it frees up. It gives us more options, more abilities to run things like Band and Specs, because we don't have to worry. With the quote-unquote nerf of, whoa, well, I can't change my type when I attack, that makes the Mom bad. You're stupid. No. It's still a Greninja. I can't change my type just means that, okay, well, now I have to get creative. Now I can run fun stuff that isn't generic Protean Greninja. So I am so excited to bring this thing back out. I haven't used a Greninja since the old days of the WPF, and I am so hype. Oh, excuse me. So Gliscor. Gliscor, my dude, Gliscor. I have never used this thing in my life, ever. But it's really going to help balance out Fortress's quad fire weakness. It's going to give us another Bulkymon. Fortress is going to help balance out its quad ice weakness. It gives us a Defogger. It gives us another Stealth Rocker. Not only does it get U-turn, but it gets Baton Pass. We can set up with Gliscor and pass into something else who will probably die because my team is made of glass. But still, Gliscor is... There is so many options for Gliscor, and I am so excited to try it out. Man-Bat coming at you right now. Not Batman. Not that frail little human. No, the Man-Bat. The fucking monster. I'm hyped for Gliscor. So after those two, we grabbed up Lantern and Comfy. My little LSD fish. And, wait for it, trying to get laid. Oh, play on words. I love them. But whenever I use a Lantern, it will always be shiny. Because the LSD fish is the LSD fish. Lantern is another Mon that's... Well, both of these really are Mons that really aren't going to be offensive. And I know I'm going for a super hyper-offensive team, but hear me out. Lantern not only is going to balance out Fortress's quad fire weakness, and Gliscor's quad ice weakness. But Gliscor is going to balance out that ground weakness, and Fortress is going to balance out that grass weakness. So that core right there, that core is something I'm going to love to play with. Plus, Lantern is has access to Volt Switch. It gives us an electric and or a water immunity. Well, not and, because you can't have two abilities. An electric or a water immunity, depending on the week. Just as well, I believe it has Heal Bell. Plus, having access to another bulky Scald user. I don't say another bulky as in I have another bulky water type. I mean another as in two Scald users, but this one's bulky. You got me. We good. We cool. But that really helps take the pressure off if we can get some burns off. But at the same time, it should really just be heal belling and volt switching, because let's be honest, it's slow. It's going to pivot into something fast, something that can hit hard, and something that can break. Lantern is... I miss Lantern a lot. I used to run Specs Lantern all the time, and it worked like a charm. Comfy is not far from the same idea. I know it's a mono fairy, but Triage is just so insanely good. Even it does get U-turn, so yeah. If you throw 0 IVs into its 100 base speed, you can get the... Not only can you get the Priority Wish and hope you die, but you can get the Priority Wish, get the slow U-turn, and just plus off, like, say something's weakened. Say I have a Life Orb user who's dealt too much damage. Bam, right back up to normal. They had to take no damage. Comfy's up here. Comfy's going to be a lot of fun. You know why? Because Fortress resists poison. Because Gliscor resists poison. Because Lantern and Fortress resist steel. Comfy, this defensive core we have working on is going to be so much fun, because all 4 of them can switch into something stronger, something faster, and something that's going to be able to tear something else apart. Comfy can also be used as a pretty silly setup mon between Wish, Draining Kiss, and Calm Mind. So I don't see myself using that. This team does have a lot of setup potential between Agility, Calm Minds, Swords Dances, etc., etc. But I've never used Comfy. But I love that thing, because it's just trying to get laid. Oh, because it's a lay. But our next 2 picks are going to be Archechops, the Archeops, and Patronus, the Virizion. Now, I love Archeops. I love this thing, because for 1, it gets U-turn. 2, it is going to give us another flying type, and therefore our 3rd rock week so far. But at the same time, it's got giant attack power, great speed, and surprisingly good special attack. Because honestly, this team's extremely offensive, but the special attackers are kind of lacking. Victini, Greninja. I haven't gotten to the Mega Man yet, so that doesn't count yet, you know? So, whatever. But Archeops is going to be a lot of fun. I don't believe... I'm 80% sure Defeatist doesn't affect special attack. So there's always that option. Always that option. And it does give us another rocker as well as another taunter, which is going to be very, very important. So we cannot be set up on. I don't want this team to get set up on. I don't care how many defoggers I have. I don't care how many rockers I have. I don't want to get set up on. That's stupid and I hate it. Only I'm allowed to do that. But moving on to Patronus the Virizion. I've never used this thing. I looked at the stats, looked at its move pool, and thought to myself, why don't I use you? And I realized it's because it's grass type. I hate grass types. I really hate grass types. It might be my least favorite typing. Just because, much like Ice, it's weak to everything. Unlike Ice, it's not offensively powerful. But I really needed a fighting type. I really like this thing's move pool. It does not U-turn, which made me upset. But it does give us a Dark Resist, as well as Justified. And I can't be upset about that. I like Justified, and I like a Dark Resist. Plus, it's got access to Calm Mind, it's got access to Swords Dance, it's got 108 base speed, and that's one of the slower mons on this squad, which I am really just loving, to be honest. Past that, I really don't have much to say about Virizion. I think I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know. It could be fun. It could be ass in a bucket. But we will find out. Last but certainly not least, we have Mega Manectric. We have Mega Manectric named Banana Split because it looks like a goddamn banana split. Look at that thing. We drafted it dead last because I was torn. I was torn. At first, I thought I wouldn't have enough points to get a good Mega, and I was going to settle for Mega Audino. I was like, you know what? Well, it's a Cleric. I guess I can just run a Cleric. It's not going to fit my team because it can't pivot, but I can try. Going over the math, I realized I was stupid. Then was like, you know what? No one's going to want Mega Manectric. Everyone has an Electric type. Everyone who doesn't have an Electric type has a Mega. I'll save it for last. Luckily, we didn't get sniped. Mega Manectric it's oh my god, this thing is going to be so much fun to use. Not only can it pivot, but it has Lightning Rod before it Mega Evolves, and Intimidate after Mega Evolves, access to Flamethrower and Overheat. I know a usual staple is HP Ice, but let's be honest. I have a Weavile and a Greninja. HP Ice probably isn't going to be on there a whole lot. Plus, it has a lot of other fun moves that people don't usually use. Like, excuse me, I'm unlocking my phone so I can double check my list because for some reason I decided not to open it beforehand because I'm an extremely disorganized person, and to be quite honest, if my head wasn't attached to my body, I would lose it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to make this ramble sesh go on as long as possible until I can find. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're done. But a lot of really fun moves that Manectric has access to is one. It's not completely out there for me to bring the Hyper Beam. I brought on Mienshao in the MPL. It worked like a charm. I love Hyper Beam. I'm not even ashamed of it. It's just such a great trump card move. But Manectric does have access to Snarl, which, yeah, it gets used sometimes. I found that people only really use it if they need to, which isn't too bad. If I'm going to get the slow team, we can throw Electro Ball on there. And that's a lot of fun as well. Signal Beam. Amazing for playing a Hoopa-U. Mud Slap. 20 base damage, whatever. Have fun setting up and never hitting me. Past that, its physical move pool isn't awful. The physical move pool really isn't that bad at all. The physical attack is bad. But we have Gliscor to pass SDs. We have Howl if 100% necessary. Because let's be real for a second. Mega Manectric, if we can... Okay, that's not real. No one's going to try to toxic my team. My team is frail. You just slap them and they die. We have access to Wild Charge, access to Crunch, access to Ice Fang, Fire Fang, Thunder Fang if necessary, access to Iron Tail for those pesky fairies. Well, Natural Gift doesn't count because I have a Megastone. Access to Double Edge if we need some big damage. Mega Manectric is going to have a slot on this team. I've been wanting to draft it for a long time. But that is going to end the draft off. I'm going to end this real fast just by stating what our Z-move users are. Our Z-Mons, I already stated Victini. I kind of just fell off after Victini. So don't mind that. But Victini, Greninja, and, wait for it, Gliscor. Now why Gliscor? Because Gliscor has so much crazy offensive coverage and such a great offensive move pool. I'm sorry, offensive attack, physical attack. Fuck me. Such a great physical attack stat that its selection of Z moves will cover what both Victini and Greninjas cannot. And between the three of them, I think we have at least every type twice. And keep in mind that we have status. Like, we're allowed to use status Z moves. So I can easily just run Z Protect. And, bro, have fun setting up those D dances. They don't matter anymore. Have fun setting up Quiver dances. They don't matter anymore. This team is... I gave it a couple test runs. I have yet to lose with it. Because I find myself always trying to draft balance but also trying to make everything as hyper offensive as possible. This team can do that, especially since all 4 of my defensive mons have offensive capabilities. If you don't believe me, then I will, trust me, I will show you. I am so excited for this team. I'm so excited for week 1 of this league to start. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Make sure you go and hit up the other coaches. I don't know if there's a league channel. I should probably figure that out. I'm going to figure that out. And if there is, the link will be in the description. If there isn't, well, forget that I said this, because there obviously isn't. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you off there. Make sure to stay tuned for week 1 of this. We are going to have an announcement video coming up very, very soon. I'm excited to share some exciting news with you. But until then, stay frosty.